I got money on my mind. I'm just trying to get some dough. I ain't picking up my line unless it's money on the phone.
So I started in undergrad. So for me, I was a president of different organizations. I was vice president of like the Black Students Alumni or Black, I think it's like SGA, all these different organizations that I was involved in. And so I would create the flyers and the marketing collateral. And so like marketing and branding wasn't really popular then, but like you would do it for your organization. Oh, let me go pass out these flyers, let me do this, let me do that. So I was designing the flyers and posting on Instagram telling everybody to come out. And so I ran for Miss North Carolina in 2016. And so I had an event and I had ladies coming out and they spoke on a panel, and one of the panelists was like, monetize your gifts. And I was like, monetize your gifts? What is that? What does that look like? Because people weren't really selling things on Instagram back then in 2016. It was like, if you were selling something, okay, cool. But it wasn't like everybody was doing it type deal.
Yeah, pretty much.
And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna start my own digital agency, doing what I love to do. I really love like creative arts and branding and marketing and website design. So I was like, let me incorporate that into my own thing and start selling it and just see how it goes. And now I've built a multi-six-figure business just selling like my knowledge and my skill set based on something I did in undergrad. And I started with $0 and an old MacBook that I bought with a refund. So that's how I got started.
So
I love it. I love that story.
Question: was that your major, or what were you going to school
No,
for?
so I went to school for I have my bachelor's in social work and counseling.
So
it's just been,
how do you feel your life would have been right now if you was a social worker?
I couldn't do it. So I actually was a part of Teach for America, and I taught for 3 years after I left undergrad. And I taught, and it was just, the first year was cool. I loved it. I loved my kids. But the second year, after I was able to see how people like police people and the culture of like education and different things of that nature, I was like, oh, I gotta get out. I gotta go. And so I think I would would have been miserable.
Yeah, I feel you. The culture of education.
It's just like it's our politics.
It's like yeah, it's ugly in there. But I do want to kind of go further with your digital marketing. So, like you said, you started with no money, just a little laptop and
a little old MacBook
and some skills that you learned in college, like actual skills. That's another lesson for everybody. Always like the skills that you have.
And I started with Photoshop, so just learning that skill set of how to utilize Photoshop and how to like really put together pieces of an actual brand. Going on YouTube, watching videos, going on to like programs where you can actually learn how to utilize different skills. Just learn that way.
What's up? That's what's up. So whenever you learned all these things, like what was it like going out there and trying to like really build out this agency, getting your first clients?
For me, it was easy because I was always promoting myself in all these organizations. So just taking that, what I used to do, and then turning it into promoting my own business. So taking that mindset from undergrad, hey, I'm promoting SGA, I'm promoting Black Women's Organization, I'm promoting this and that, but let me promote my own business. So it really wasn't a big thing for me, and I started getting clients like that off the bat.
And I kind of want to ask you, what was that like once you heard that monetize your gift? How long did it take you to actually start your business and say, this is something that I want to do?
So I think I ran for Miss North Carolina in like October. My business launched in January, and I was like, just had like a flyer where I was promoting people I do headshots. And I started in my bedroom doing headshots. So it didn't take that long. Like I had a concept, and I started with something small that I knew I was kind of good at, but I wanted to learn more about.
So you were still in undergrad whenever you started?
I actually started that aspect in after I graduated, my first year of post-grad.
Okay, that's not bad. And I also see that, like, I want to stop and talk about the importance of being involved on campus too, because that's really major, very vital for people who are going to college. Because we see a lot of people whenever they get to college, college isn't this, college isn't that. It's not true. College is what you make it. And a lot of people don't get involved on campus. And me personally, I was in a whole bunch of organizations too. And like you're saying, it really makes you into a marketer, into a seller. I'm a part of Alpha Phi Alpha, so we would promote everything, like promoting parties, all of these events, but it helps you with that social skill. Now you can go and speak to anyone, you can just pull up and you're not afraid to do those type of things. So I definitely think that's very vital to figuring out who you are, but also just figuring out what your gifts are and what you're good at.
Of course, for me, I like to tell people, if I didn't go to college, I wouldn't be doing what I do now.
Mm-hmm.
So if I didn't go after this master's degree, I wouldn't even know what entrepreneurship looked like. So I can tell y'all a little bit more about my story.
Mm-hmm.
So while I was teaching, I was loving my first year teaching. That second year, my administration hated me. And so I was like, I gotta hurry up and find something to get up out of here. And so that's when I started pushing my business more. But if I didn't go to undergrad, if I didn't, pursue my master's degree, I wouldn't know that entrepreneurship was for me. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So college is definitely was necessary for me, but it's not for everybody.
I feel you with that though, like, cause we talk about that, and we talked about it on the podcast when we very first started. Like college is one of those places where it lets you really explore yourself and really find out, like, and test your limits. Like you learn more about yourself, like your self-discipline, like who you are, cause now you ain't got mama waking you up telling you to go to school. The teacher don't give a damn if you gonna take that test. Like it's on you to start figuring out like how you going to make these different responsibilities. It's a cool little place. And then another thing that we really always talk about is that networking, because like you're gonna meet so many people that's involved in so many different things that like it's just gonna be. You're never going to be in a place like this again, where you're going to be around all these different people who are going to be future working professionals. And I kind of want to lean that into your story some, like when you started your business, your network probably was like your biggest asset, because you already knew all these people who were influential, and they probably had something going, right?
Yeah, I just share my stuff on social media. So Facebook, Instagram, most of those people were people I went to undergrad with or I was in graduate school with. And so that's how I really built my business around people that I knew. Like, your network is important. And so I definitely agree with that.
Sure. So Kheiston, now I kind of want to hop into like some of the ways that people can really build a strong brand.
Oh, before we do that, I kind of want to talk about your first client.
Okay.
Can we talk about your first client?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Do you remember what it was like for you to secure your first client, and who was that first person that you worked with?
So, like I said before, I started out with photography because I didn't I was kind of like on the edge about putting out like graphic design and stuff like that yet. So I was like, let me like start with just something, and I can add on like the digital stuff later on. And so I put this flyer up on Instagram because I would take my own pictures, my own headshots for like LinkedIn and stuff like that. People would ask me, can you take my headshot? And I'm like, yeah. And so I started doing $20 headshots. And people would come to my apartment that I share with 2 other roommates. And it was just a new thing. Like, I had like 20 clients the first month that I launched.
Hey, shoot.
That's hard. And I just want to give like game to anybody who's in school. If you are a photographer, the business departments, they big on getting people on like LinkedIn and stuff like that. So maybe go pitch it to like your professors or something. Hey, I do photography. Maybe we can broker a deal or something like that, or even just a way to sharpen up your skills. Because I remember that was something one of my classmates done whenever we were doing headshots. They actually took it for like our whole class and helped us upload it on LinkedIn. So that was really dope.
Yeah, like, and for me, after I did like the photos, I discovered that really ain't my thing. Let me move on to let me start dabbling in Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator. And then I started doing websites. And so as I just like put the first step foot in front of the other, I just continued to add things on. And then I was able to decide what I didn't want to do anymore. I don't want to do photography anymore. I would rather give you my friends' information for that. And I started building like that.
Yeah, that's smart. I like it.
Thank you.
No problem. I'll let you go into it now.
So, okay, well, because I'm glad you did go to that segue, because you got into like you're building websites and all that, because I guess that's kind of into part of what I'm going to ask.
Okay.
With people building strong brands, like what are some of the key elements people need to have a strong brand? Because I know like you need an online presence, you need a website, you need a social media, but like what would you say is like
the key elements?
Yeah.
So I would definitely say your website is extremely important. There's people who say, oh, you don't need that. Oh, you just need links. But for me personally, if I don't see your digital footprint, I can go to Google and find information about you. You're not legit to me. And so, especially like when the PPP came out, there's people who couldn't get the PPP because they didn't even have a digital footprint. They didn't have a digital brand. They didn't have a website.
The government couldn't
said,
verify
nah,
you.
like, yeah, you got this EIN number, but we can't find you digitally. So we're not giving you this money. So I would say that definitely having a website. It doesn't have to be an in-depth website when you're first starting out. If you can't afford, a $5,000 package or a $10K package, at least have something that you've put together. So I would definitely say start building that digital footprint for yourself. Number 2, have some type of social media presence. When people are looking for people to purchase from, we're going to hashtags. If I'm looking for someone to do my hair in Dallas, I'm going to search Dallas stylists or something like that. You can see
their work in real time.
Yeah, like,
I literally was just thinking about this earlier because one of my friends, she was looking for meal prep. I'm like, just use this hashtag. And I was supposed to make a tweet about that.
Yeah.
I was like, if you have a business and it's a service-based business, you're trying to get more local traffic, use a hashtag and put your city, put it in your bio. Not every time someone searches that, they're going to find
you're
it.
the first one to come up. So I would say definitely have that, but also have your back office stuff in place too, because a lot of issues that especially African American business owners like have challenges with is because their back office is not together. You don't have payroll set up. You're not legitimate on paper. When you go to get a business bank account, do you have that EIN number? So making sure that you have those foundational things together too. I would also recommend that y'all stop using Fiverr for logos and different things of that nature, because a lot of times they use templated logos, which somebody can sue you if they see that you're using like their copyrighted items and different things of that nature. So you want to make sure that, hey, whatever like pictures or fonts or whatever you're using, that is actually legitimate when you're putting this branded content out for your visual brand.
So like when you say templated logos, you just gotta be thinking like, you mean like something that somebody can go on Canva and make themselves like.
Yeah, so you can get sued by using Canva stuff for your brand.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that because it's copyrighted.
Mm-hmm.
If you out here saying, hey, I'm charging, they're not gonna get you while you're not making no money.
But if you start making some,
when you start making that money, that's when they're gonna hit you with like these fines and different things of that nature. So if you go on Google and you pull off, maybe say you're having like a makeup brand, you get some makeup brushes off of Google, then you're gonna put that into your logo. And that's typically what they do on Canva. But those items are copyrighted. So you have personal use and you have commercial use. If it's personal, I can only use it for me. But if it's commercial, I can use it for business. If it doesn't have that copyright on something and you go and use it and it's somebody else's work, they can sue you.
Question.
So
Does that come for Canva Pro? Because we pay for Canva Pro. And they better not come and get us for that shit.
And so if you go into like Canva's copyright or their FAQs, you'll be able to see, most of the stuff that they have on there is only for personal use. It's not for commercial use.
Hey, I'm glad you told me that.
Yeah. So making sure that, whatever you're using, if you're putting like your content on like something that you're selling, it's illegal. Basically, somebody can sue you, but a lot of people get away with it
because I mean they're not making money on scale to a point where it's like, hey, that's my stuff, so I need to go get my money now. Yeah, but like that makes so much sense. Like, and it's worth making that investment and actually getting original stuff created, and like you actually owning the rights to this. Because whenever you hire a designer or a brand, like a marketing agency, some of these things they're gonna have in the contract, right? Like you own this.
Yeah, you own it. I will also say that another thing for like having a foundational brand is really having a plan of action. What I see from a lot of people is they say, hey, I want to do this. Let me throw it out there. Let me like have something like a legitimate plan that you put together with either a coach or a strategist so that you can continue to be successful in your craft. Because what happens is people go up, they're building, and then they're like, oh, I'm not getting any sales, I'm not doing this, and now you don't know what's next because you don't have a good marketing plan together or you don't have a good business plan in place.
Hey, she come on over here to drop the gems, man. I love it.
And I get it because a lot of us started that way, but in my line of work and what I do now, like I tell people, I'm here to save you the years that I spent trying to like figure this thing out. So yeah.
And I kind of want to touch on you figuring it out. I want to talk about what it looked like you doing your first website. Because we've done websites, like landing pages. Yeah. So I know the headache that goes into it. But whenever you first made your first website, what program did you use?
I use WordPress.
Oh Lord! So did you code or did you do like
a builder?
I did both. I can code and I can, utilize their builders or whatever builder they had at that time. My work, if I look back at my old work, it doesn't look good. You know what I mean? So it's definitely evolved, but people bought it. You know what I mean? It served its purpose during that time, and I feel like whenever you're creating something for someone else, it's like, oh my gosh, you're actually paying for this. Like, that's how you feel when you're creating it. So that's how I pretty much felt.
Hey, that's dope. So what was like the most difficult thing? Because I tried to learn coding and that shit's hard. How did you do it?
So I'm a very figure it out type of person. So going back and forth to Google, hey, how do I do this? And then like, if you remember MySpace, we coded back then.
We was man, it's crazy. We was copying and pasting the HTML codes like it was shit, just to get that cool little background on your page.
I remember that.
Now we look at it like it's Chinese.
I'm telling you, man. But see, I would just know how to copy and paste, go find it. But there was some people who really could just like freak out your page. I'll be like, man, how you doing that? That's crazy. I hope some of those people who's doing that is utilizing it nowadays. Cause shout out to Tom.
There's different platforms like Skillshare, I think it's like Coursera or something like that. And those platforms can teach you how to code too, if that's your thing. I'm mostly like on the front end, like designing and laying it out. And then if a person wants to utilize something like WordPress, we send it off to a developer. But I'm a Wix expert. I also build out on Squarespace, I build out on Showit. So there's different platforms that you can pretty much use nowadays where you don't have to code if you don't want to.
I'm glad you brought up like the Squarespace and stuff, because if it's anyone who they really can't afford the coder or getting with someone who does a website, but they have that design, that creativeness, what would be some good websites that they can kind of like build on?
So there's something like, I seen something the other day, it was like Milkshake. It's a simple, just in your bio type of thing. You can create the colors and do different things, and it's an app on your phone. So that's something simple that you can just plug and play type of deal if you just want something quick. Also, you can learn how to create your own website on WordPress, Wix. They're all created nowadays where they're drag and drop. And so if you pretty much know how to drag and drop, you can create something. Whether or not it looks good or if it's functional is a different story. So that's when you come to someone like myself and my team.
So, Kheiston, I do want to ask you, because you mentioned the front end design. Like, what's some pointers on like first off, I guess, can we talk about like the importance of front end design when it comes to the customer journey on the website?
Yeah. So you basically only have about 5 seconds to gather someone's attention when they come on your website. If I come on your site, it does not look good, I'm not going to keep scrolling. You want to make sure that you get that pop. That banner needs to be the key focal point for your actual website. That banner and then the header as well. You want to make sure that you capitalize off of that as soon as someone enters into your site. So I would say that's the key focal point of any type of website. I don't care what it is. You want to make sure that banner really speaks to your audience and really just guides them along that journey, making sure that you have those call to actions, or if it's like click here to find out more, book a consultation, whatever it is, make sure you have something there that's really going to allow them to be able to find out more about you.